everybody, welcome to another craft break. My name is Emma Panuski. I'm a content creator here at Plaid, and today I'm going to be showing you all how to make an adorable trick-or-treat bag using fabric and Mod Podge fabric. It is really simple to do. I'm going to give you guys lots of my favorite techniques to use in tandem with Mod Podge fabric. It's a really fabulous product. If you've never heard of it before, it is obviously in the Mod Podge brand, but it is specifically formulated for fabric. So that means that it's really great to adhere pieces of fabric to really anything. We like to use it to adhere one piece of fabric to another piece of fabric because once it cures, you can go ahead and put your project in the washing machine, which is really awesome. There's some really great no-sew projects that I bet you guys are thinking about right now when I say that. It's really great for no-sew projects because it has such a strong adhesion. It's water-based, non-toxic, so you can work with this anywhere. And one of my favorite techniques that I like to let people know about with Mod Podge fabric is that it is a really great tool to prevent fraying in your fabric. And I'm going to tell you guys all about that today as I show you how to make this adorable trick-or-treat bag. So of course we're making these really cute witchy legs, but you can make any kind of pattern you want. You could make a design that goes with your Halloween costume, with your kids' Halloween costume. There's so many different possibilities to combine your favorite colors of fabric to make a really cute project like this. And another thing, this is really great if you maybe are a quilter or a sewer or any kind of textile artist. It's a really great way to utilize those scraps. I made this project just using fat quarters from my local fabric store, but it would be a really great way to upcycle some of those leftover fabric scraps that you have too. And really, it'd be really great to use those leftover fabric scraps with any Mod Podge fabric project, because once I show you that no fraying technique today, you'll see why it will be so great for those scraps. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you're going to want to have are, of course, your pieces of scrap fabric. And we're going to start right off by showing you guys how to make your fabric so that it doesn't fray. And if you're not quite sure what I mean by that, I'll show you. So you can see along the edges of our cut fabric here, you can see all of these little strands of fabric that are coming off. So whatever kind of scissors I use, even if I use fabric scissors, when I try to cut small shapes from this piece of fabric, the edges are going to fray like that and we're going to be left with a not very neat design. So I'm going to show you guys how to combat that with our Mod Podge fabric. So I'm going to lay my fabric flat. And one good thing to know, if your fabric is patterned only on one side, then you are going to apply the Mod Podge fabric to the unpatterned side. But for this, he's the same on both, so we're just gonna do either side. I'm taking a bristled brush. This is actually one of our really great Mod Podge brushes. And I'm going to take my Mod Podge fabric and paint a layer of my Mod Podge fabric all over my scrap of fabric. So we're going to go all the way up.
Emma, would you say that Mod Podge fabric is like thicker than other mediums?
Yeah, that's a good point, Stephen. So if you're used to working with Mod Podge and you've never worked with Mod Podge fabric before, once you start to work with it, you will see that it is a little bit thicker than the Mod Podge that you may be used to, but that's totally normal, and that's what holds all of that non-fraying goodness, all that non-fraying machine washable goodness. Okay, so we're just going to go up all the way on our scrap of fabric here, just brushing it out so that we don't have a ton of brush strokes. But I won't bore you guys with all those details. You just brush it all the way up. Then we're going to let it dry for about 3 hours or so. And then I'll show you the magical part by setting this aside. Okay, so this is some fabric that I painted my Mod Podge fabric on, and it's totally dry, so you can see that sheen from the Mod Podge, and that is what is sealing our fabric. So once we go ahead and turn it over and cut some shapes out, it won't fray. So we have our yellow piece here that I think I'm going to use for the witch's belt buckle. What do you guys think? I think that'd be really cute.
I think so too.
I'm going to use this polka dot fabric for the shoes and the legs. And one other thing that's good to know, I like to, whenever I am applying my Mod Podge fabric to my fabric, I like to work on like a wax coated piece of palette paper or wax paper or parchment paper, something where if your Mod Podge fabric did get stuck to your workstation, it would just easily peel right off. So I'm not going to work on something super porous that will try to stick to the Mod Podge fabric, if that makes sense. Did it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so the next step that we're going to do is I went ahead and sketched out a little witch shoe. Kind of almost looks like a genie lamp though, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking my scissors to cut out my shape. We're almost done. Okay, so now we just have our pattern, our witch's shoe. And like we were talking about before, of course I'm doing some cute little witch's legs, but you can do whatever type of pattern that you want to do. And it doesn't just stop at trick-or-treating bags. This would be really cute to add to a t-shirt, to make a little applique, to add to a denim jacket, to add to some jeans. There's so many options. Okay, so now I'm going to put my pattern onto the non-Mod Podge side of my fabric. Whoop. See, I have a fraying bit here. I'm going to take my pencil and I am just going to, actually, you know what? The great thing about this technique is that you can really use trace your pattern on either side. So I can't really see my pencil just because that fabric is so dark. So I'm actually going to place it on this side here and use my dark marker to just trace my pattern. And obviously the reason that I'm tracing it on the Mod Podge side is because I don't want any of that dark marker to show through when I cut my shoe out. But yeah, this is just, to me at least, one of those techniques where once you learn about it, it's like a whole world of possibilities for projects that you can make. Ta-da! Just kidding, we're not done yet. So I'm just going to cut this down to a kind of workable size. But see how easily our scissors cut through the fabric that's been coated with our Mod Podge fabric? I'm not even using fabric scissors. I'm just using traditional craft scissors, the same ones I just used to cut out our paper pattern.
Emma, we had a question. Can you see through Mod Podge fabric? Yes, you can. Once it dries, it'll dry clear.
Yes.
It has a little bit of a reflective shine to it, but it is, like our other formula, is going to apply with like a milky base, and then it'll dry white, or
Yeah.
clear, excuse me.
Correct. So it does go on white and it dries clear. And kind of unlike other formulas of Mod Podge, this works best with just the adhesion. So without even putting a top coat on, your project will be really durable. And it's just cutting through like butter, as you guys can see. It's really, really easy to cut. See, we're left with a little witch shoe. If you want to get a little close, Stephen, I'm trying to pull at the edges of my fabric here, and there's no fraying whatsoever. It is, the edges are totally sealed because we used our Mod Podge fabric. Isn't that cool?
It works really well.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to show you one half of this project because the great thing about it is that you just repeat it on the other half. You do the same exact thing, but now the right or the left leg, whichever one you didn't do first. But I have my next step for you guys, which is I am going to cut out a strip of my fabric. So first off, I'm going to cut off the end that's not covered in our Mod Podge fabric so that we don't use that part because we don't want it to fray. But I am going to cut 2 legs. So think about how big your shoe is. We're going to think about how big our tote bag is, and that is how wide we want the legs to be. So the opening of our shoe here, keeping that in mind. And now I'm just going to take, you can honestly use whatever flat edge you have. I'm just using a piece of paper here. And I'm going to do the same thing, taking my black marker, making a straight line. And then making sure it's even. You could totally use a ruler, but this craft is so whimsical. I think it kind of looks better if it's not totally perfect. Okay, I'm going to take this, cut it down to size. I don't know if I was ever a witch for Halloween. Were you ever a witch, Stephen?
I was not. I'm trying to think of what some of my favorite Halloween costumes as a kid were. Well, when I was little, I was Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh, that's a good one.
That may have been one of my first. I think I was like a lot of very generic things. I never played as a character, so it would have made sense for me to be just a witch.
Yeah.
But I knew I was a ninja at one point. I was like a masked bandit.
Ooh,
like a
okay, while
cowboy.
Steven's telling us his Halloween costumes from the past, I just want to tell you guys what I'm doing here. So my other fabric that I'm going to use for my stripes on my legs, I'm just going to cut out the same exact size that we just cut out from our first fabric. So I'm just going to trace it, make sure it's the same size. Okay, go ahead, Steven.
And then, let's see, one year I was just like some kind of monster. I think when I was like 9 or 10. I had like a mask, and it was not from any franchise or movie or anything.
Those are the best Halloween costumes.
Yeah, you get to make up a story.
Yeah, I remember one year I was a cheerleader for Team USA.
Okay, the Olympics.
I don't know. I don't think there are cheerleaders in the Olympics.
I don't think there are either.
Last time I checked. But I loved that costume.
That's great.
Felt very cool. I vaguely remember being a ladybug when I was little. I loved it.
That checks for
But I
some
think
reason.
it was mainly the wings
Yeah.
that were super fun to me. Let us know in the comment section some of your favorite memories of dressing up for Halloween as a kid and what you were. Okay, so obviously now I'm just cutting out my second leg shape. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to take out my tote bag again. Now is a good time to mark off where we want our shoe to be. So not too low on our tote bag, but not too high either. I'm going to set it right here, I think. So that means our leg is going to start about there. So measuring how tall it needs to be, we're going to just make a little snip so we can cut off the excess. Like that, okay? So now I'm breaking out my piece of wax paper. I'm laying my strip of fabric, non-Mod Podged side down. Taking my Mod Podge fabric. And I am going to apply it to our already Mod Podged side of our fabric here. So you don't need to apply a ton. Just want to make sure that all of the corners of your fabric are covered. Now I'm going to take it and I'm going to carefully place it down so that it's nice and straight. And now I'm just going to take my finger to smooth that out. And we can trim this part off or we can tuck it in, whatever you want to do. So now it's good and on there. I'm going to do the same thing with my shoe. This is where it really starts to come together. Ooh. Ah. Bring it back. So I'm going to first kind of touch down with the top of my shoe there so that it lines up nicely. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest kind of just falls into place. Again, just using my fingers to smooth it out, making sure that there's no air trapped underneath. I don't know about you guys, but I think this is looking really cute so far. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut some kind of cattywampus strips. So going, different directions. We're ultimately making stripes on our witch tights, but they don't have to be totally straight. I think that they look way cuter and spookier and more whimsical when they're kind of going in different directions. Witches don't really have time to make sure their clothes match in the morning because they're too busy
Brewing potions.
riding on their broom,
Cackling.
luring children, exactly.
Yeah.
We don't blame them. That's what we like them for.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's enough stripes. Honestly, you could probably use this other half for your other leg. So that is good to know. I'm gonna take my wax paper back and I'm gonna grab a smaller Mod Podge brush. And now we're gonna adhere down our little strips. So I'm gonna do a couple at a time. That way we're not having to go back and forth so much. And like I said, you guys, especially when you're doing little smaller pieces like this, a little bit of Mod Podge goes a long way. You don't have to drench this thing.
Right.
Okay, now we're going to place our stripes on. Oh, this is so cute. Glue a couple more.
So we've got two bags here.
Yes.
Two different witches.
Yes.
One could be the Witch of the East,
Ooh,
Witch of the West.
I like that idea. I feel like the good witch, her clothes do match.
Yeah, she makes it a point to coordinate her wardrobe.
Yes, and her fabric is definitely not fraying, so
No.
I bet she uses Mod Podge fabric.
Emma, we had some questions about Mod Podge fabric.
Okay.
Can you sew fabrics that have been coated with Mod Podge fabric?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And then there was also a question, can Mod Podge fabric be tinted with acrylic paint?
That's an interesting idea. You know what? I kind of find that when I use Mod Podge fabric, I feel like it's so durable that I don't really even need to seal it with a top coat. I just use it mainly as an adhesion medium. So,
I would also imagine that putting acrylic paint in there could water it down.
that's a good point. I never thought about that. We've never tested that because we usually mainly use Mod Podge fabric as as a glue. But I don't know. I'm sure it would work.
Yeah.
Definitely. Most of our Mod Podges work really well when you tint them with acrylic paint.
And there's a comment here that says, I'm new to the Mod Podge world, and this project is super cute. I'm glad I came across this because I was beginning to think of doing something like a cosmetic bag or a tote bag. Thanks.
Awesome. I love that idea. It's like a little pencil bag or makeup bag. That's such a cute idea. And, of course, we're doing this Halloween this Halloween project because it's really cute and it's perfect way to decorate your trick-or-treat bag in a really fun way, but it doesn't end in Halloween. Mod Podge fabric is eternal. It's all year round. So yeah, of course it works really great for those evergreen projects like your makeup bag, like your pencil bag. So cute to make little appliques and place them on denim jackets, on your jean pockets, t-shirts, the backs of your t-shirts, a little cute emblem on the pocket of your t-shirt. There's so many cute things you can do with Mod Podge fabric.
Absolutely.
So, thank you guys for all your wonderful comments. I do love hearing from you all. I'm going to walk you through the rest of our project here so you guys get the gist of it. Important things to remember is that you want to do that base layer of Mod Podge fabric on your fabric before you start cutting. That way it'll prevent your fabric from fraying. Let that dry, and then you can cut to your heart's desire, whatever patterns you want to do. Then of course use your Mod Podge fabric again to adhere those pieces to your finished project. So you can see on our finished project here, we just lastly added some little belt buckles, the same way we added these stripes. We just cut squares on our fabric. We cut that out and then Mod Podged it onto our shoe.
I know it's not using the fabric Mod Podge, but did you want to show the little charm on the bag?
Yeah, I did, just because that's so cute. Actually, Bianca, who normally does our Wednesday craft breaks, she made this bag and it is so adorable, and I think that this is the cutest idea. So what we did here is a lot of your local craft stores will have wooden dowels. This is just a tiny little wooden dowel that Bianca painted black. Next, she used a spool of twine to make a tassel to represent a little witch's broom. She glued that onto her painted wooden dowel so it looks like a little broom. How adorable is that? And then of course she cut a hole in it and attached it to a keychain to live on her bag. So cute.
That's a great idea.
It really is. It's adorable. So with that, you guys, I hope that you learned something new. Let us know if you have worked with Mod Podge fabric before, what your favorite thing to do with it is. If you decide to purchase some Mod Podge fabric, it's always available on plaidonline.com for you to buy and at your local craft store. Thank you guys for watching. We love having you here, and we'll see you next time. Bye guys.